Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Brad Walter, and today we're going to be talking about some malfunctions that you may have in the aircraft, specifically that deal with losing your GPS or a component thereof, and what you can do in those situations. And I'm going to give you one of my situations that I had where I lost that, along with several other things. Um, so I was on a VFR flight, doing a solo, doing a little bit of time building, and I was in one of our Piper Aero aircrafts equipped with a Garmin 430 GPS with a WAS. So it's pretty good system. I was very comfortable with using it. Flown the plane several times, and like I said, was just on a cross country time building flight. Flew. I think the flight was right around 30 minutes one way. So I had already flown the first leg of the trip. Flew up and landed at one of the favorite spots to go grab some lunch. There's a good barbecue joint there, so we went checked that out. I went and checked that out, got some food, and then went back to the aircraft, hopped in, and was getting ready to take back off for my hopefully uneventful flight back. Um, the airport that I left out of when I left there, it was towered operation. So normal takeoff, normal flight out of there. But then due to the time that I was getting back, the tower was going to be closed, so it'd be just a pilot controlled airfield at that time. So took off, and I was under VFR flight following. It was a VFR flight, so I was just using the GPS, the Garmin 430 with WAS for navigation, just backing myself up, and then also using visual checkpoints to navigate myself back. So I took off, and probably about 5 to 10 minutes after takeoff, I looked over and my transponder went blank on me. I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." So I reached over and hit the power button to see if I could get it turned back on, and sure enough, it turned back on. Came on and was going through its power up sequence, doing its little check, and came on, was on for maybe 15 seconds, and then shut right back off. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Never had that happen before. So, like I said, I was on VFR flight following. I was up with ATC, so I gave them a call just to let them know what was going on, and that they probably wouldn't be able to see me on their scope since my transponder went down. Wouldn't be able to get that code from them. So I called them, and interestingly enough, I told them what was happening, that my transponder had went out on me, and they told me to squawk a unique code. To which I replied, "Well, my transponder's down, so I can't do that." Um, so shortly after that, I started getting a little bit of a flicker in my radio lights. At which point I looked down at my ammeter, which was reading 0. So then it started to come to light that I may have lost my alternator and could very soon be losing all my power. By this point, I was probably 5 to 10 minutes out from the field that I took off from. Like I said, it was a pretty short flight, so I was headed back in, and not too far from that field, and there wasn't any other restrictive airspace around. So I gave ATC another call, just to let them know what was going on, and got no reply from them. And then my radios completely went blank after flickering. So at that point, I had lost all power. The radios weren't working, transponder was obviously dead, and obviously my Garmin 430 GPS was not doing any good for me anymore. So I was very, very awkward flying the aircraft back. Obviously, the engine runoff magnetos still did just fine, but it was very awkward flying around with completely lost comms. Wasn't able to squawk the lost comms code, obviously, because I had no power, so I literally could do nothing. So what I did in that situation, I was close enough, I felt, to my home field. It's a field that I was familiar with. I knew there wasn't a lot of activity going on that day, just due to what field it is. So I chose to continue. It was about another 5 minutes after I'd lost everything to that field. I had plenty of visual checkpoints that I could see. came into that field and overflew the runway at 1,500 feet just to get a good look at the airfield, make sure there was nobody in the pattern. I knew the tower was closed at this time. I did rock my wings as I was flying over the field, just in case somebody was paying attention to me. But yep, flew over at 1,500 feet. I saw nobody else in the pattern, so I entered a downwind and came in for a landing on what was typically the active runway at the time. Obviously, couldn't get any weather either because I had no power to pull up ATIS. But it was a nice, clear, calm day. So I set myself up for a downwind after overflying at 1,500. Entered the pattern and landed, do a full stop, and pulled the aircraft back over to the hangar uneventfully. At which point, after I got the aircraft safely back on the ground, I went ahead and let the maintenance team know what had happened, and to which they replied, "Oh yeah, we had an alternator issue with that plane a little while back as well." So apparently that resurfaced, and I believe now they have it settled and it's fixed properly though. So that's good to know. But yeah, GPS is only good for you if you have power on the plane. So you always have to have that good pilotage skill down, pilotage and dead reckoning, so you can take a look out the window, see where you're at. Fortunately enough for me, I was familiar with the area, so I knew where I was going, and just followed my procedures for lost comms initially, and then total loss of power after that, or total loss of electrical power, not obviously the aircraft power. That would have been different. But yeah, through all that, just one thing that kind of comes to light. It's a very familiar verse to a lot, I'm sure, but Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Just trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your paths. It's a kind of scary and awkward moment when you lose all the power on your plane, but you just gotta remember that God's always with you, and He'll direct your paths and give you the knowledge and help you remember that training that you've gone through to keep you safe and get the plane safely back on the ground. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and have a good one.